Alright guys, so first autocross here in the Mini. What's up everybody, Super Dorks fan here for Mini Weekly Update number 17 on this Friday. So first, thank you so much for watching the live stream, all of you that did. That was really cool to hang out with you guys, and we went for like 4 hours even though my voice was killing me. If you can't tell, I still kind of have a little bit of a cold, and my voice isn't quite as strong as normal. But yeah, it was so much fun answering all your questions, and by the very end we actually were basically caught up on the questions, so pretty amazing because we had even more viewers and more questions than we ever have had before. So that was really exciting, and I'm glad that I finally caught up. So yeah, that was awesome. So thank you guys so much for everyone that hung out, and thank you for your thoughts on last week's question in the weekly update, where I was asking you guys, what you think I should change, or what do you think I should stay the same with on the weekly updates, because they've been getting less views than the B or Z weekly updates. And I think most people, a few people actually said it's probably, mostly because you don't have the B or Z anymore. But aside from that, the people, that commented said that a lot of you really liked it. You wanted me to keep it the same way it was. Some of you said it's a little long, which I totally understand, because, even me personally, I have very little time to watch YouTube videos, and whenever I see someone that's super long, it's like, okay, I have to find some time to, sit down for 20 minutes and watch a video. So I totally understand that. I'm going to try and make these shorter from now on. So a lot less rambling and more aggressive editing, and I'm only going to hit the basic news stories that I really need to hit, and some of the other less important stuff I'm just going to ignore. But so yeah, let's just get right to it then. Mini Weekly Update number 17. What I want to talk about is I've been driving the Mini for 10,000 miles now. I bought it with about 46,000, and it has 56,000 now. And I just want to say, what I like and what I don't like about it. First, I guess I can mention the gripes. The two issues I've had where the car overheated, and also, with whenever the boost inlet hose popped off a couple weeks ago. Those are the only two things that have really been upsetting. The only other thing is, when I bought this car, I didn't realize insurance was going to be higher on this than it was on the BRZ, and that's just simply because these are BMW parts, and so it's, more expensive, and if I crash or something, it's more expensive to buy those parts than it would with a Subaru and Subaru parts. So that makes sense, but just totally unexpected. Did not anticipate that. So that might have influenced my decision a little bit if I would have known that ahead of time. But it's done and over with, and it is what it is. Now, otherwise, as far as how the car is holding up, aside from the mechanical stuff, the passenger window squeaks when I put it down sometimes, like that, if you could hear squeaks going up and down. I don't know if that's just a refinement issue or what the deal is with that. But next time I go to the dealer, maybe I'll ask him about it. The other thing is, on the passenger side, there's a little door sill plate that says Mini Cooper S, and the adhesive was starting to fail on the one on the passenger side a little bit, but it was only coming up a little bit. It was kind of still staying there, so I was like, oh, it's probably fine. But then one day, the door closed, and it bent the whole thing, and so now it's bent up, and I have to look for a replacement. It's not that big of a deal. I'll probably just buy some other ones off of eBay for, $30 or something. But again, just, quality issues, really, get stickier adhesive Mini. But, yeah, and aside, while we're talking about interior stuff, one of the other interior things is these floor mats. The Velcro wasn't the best when I bought it to hold the mats in place, and the mat likes to get under the accelerator pedal, so I'll floor it, and I'll feel that it's somewhat soft, and I'll know that there's a little bit of a cushion there, so I can't get full throttle acceleration, so I have to keep constantly pulling the driver's mat back towards me so that it's not, up under the pedals. But aside from that, it's otherwise the car is holding up really well, and some of the things that I liked about this car, I do like about this car, are things that I missed in the Legacy and didn't realize I missed them until I had it again in the Mini. And the first thing is a moonroof. As dumb as that may sound, I love having a moonroof and the open air feeling it gives you. The Legacy had it, and I loved it. The BRZ, obviously, is not even an option because of the low weight, and they're trying to, these obviously are heavy, and it raises the center of gravity. but I don't really care. I'm not hardcore enough to really care about that kind of stuff. And this car having the panoramic moonroof, it's just really nice. It's huge, and it just really, if you sit in one of these, you'll realize just how much glass there is around you with large windows everywhere and everything. It's a really cool driving experience, and I love that. And the other thing that I missed about the Legacy that I didn't really realize until I got this car was a turbo and having torque. And this is going to maybe be a shocker to some of you, but I really like the power of this way better than the BRZ. The BRZ was fun to rev out, but when you're in a rush or whenever you don't have time, you don't feel like downshifting 3 gears to get power, it can actually get kind of annoying. I didn't really portray that a lot in my BRZ updates, but there were times where it did frustrate me a little bit. And now that I have a turbo in the Mini and I have torque, I don't have to think twice about merging onto the highway again. Like with the BRZ, I would be worried, will I be able to get up to speed in time? Because it really was not that fast in a straight line. And it was kind of embarrassing sometimes even with the exhaust, because I'd be like sounding like I'm going super fast and it wouldn't really be going that fast, and people would be like in minivans next to me like, why is this car making all this noise? It's just right next to us. Obviously that's my own fault for putting a loud exhaust on it. I think in the future I would do something more subtle, but that's just another thing about the BRZ that I didn't really like, and I like that this car has enough power, has plenty of power, that I never have to worry about getting out of someone's way or merging onto the highway. So yeah, those are the two biggest things, the moonroof and the turbo, that I really appreciate about this car, that I actually see as an improvement over the BRZ and kind of an upgrade in a way. Obviously being an older car, the infotainment and stuff is sorely lacking, and the Bluetooth audio streaming device that I introduced several weeks ago, I said, oh, now I can do Bluetooth audio streaming. That stopped working. I don't know why, but I cannot figure out how to fix it, so I'm just stuck with an auxiliary cable, and every time I want to listen to my iPod I have to plug it in, which is a pain. But I mean, first world problems, I guess I can't complain that much. So that just, it is what it is. But otherwise, like I said, I really love this car. I love the ambient lighting at night, and the orange gauges and the retro look of it and everything. Overall, it's really held up well over the 10,000 miles, and it hasn't given me any more problems. Hopefully it won't. But of course, I'll keep you guys up to date on that as well. But anyway, I'll quit rambling, and I'll send it back to me at the news desk for this week's news. Right, for this week's news, the first thing is the new Batmobile was spied, supposedly. Not 100% confirmed, but there was these few pictures that were posted up on Instagram by user amacro13, and then it was reported by MTV, and then everyone else started jumping all over it, including most of the major news organizations, and so it looks pretty amazing. It looks like the Tumblr in a way, but it also has some throwbacks to some of the old, Tim Burton Batmobiles and stuff like that, and it just looks all kinds of crazy. And after that was posted up, Zack Snyder, actually, who's the director of the movie, posted up a picture, an official picture of the new Batmobile. It's a close-up, so it's kind of hard to see exactly, what is going on as far as the whole total shape, but it looks similar to what we see in this spy shot here. So I think it's probably the same car, and what we're looking at is the actual new Batmobile for the new Batman vs. Superman movie. So yeah, that's basically the best possible car news to start off the week with. Some other stuff, the 2016 Mazda Miata was debuted last week. I talked about it already. Two follow-up things is, first, it won't be getting a power folding hard top or anything like that, like the current generation. Only a soft top for now. And the other thing is it probably won't have a turbo. There was an engine shot that was revealed, and there's really no sign of a turbo here, so we're probably looking at naturally aspirated engine and probably less than 200 horsepower. But for a car this small and this lightweight, it shouldn't need that much, so should be good. And with some news from BMW, the first thing is there was a M4 GTS track car that was disguised, kind of. They said, had these graphics on the side saying it's a safety car, but it probably isn't. It has a more aggressive front end on it, so people are thinking it's the GTS model. No one really knows, but very peculiar camouflaging if that's what they're trying to do with that, but interesting. Another thing is BMW also debuted the 2 Series convertible this week. It looks exactly how you would expect the 2 Series convertible to look, and so yeah, that's cool to see. And then some other German automaker news. The big thing this week was Mercedes. They debuted the AMG GT, which is a 2016 model, and it's coming next spring, and it's going to have 503 horsepower in the GTS trim, and then there's going to be a standard GT that comes later on next year that's going to have 456 horsepower. I gotta say, I'm really impressed with it. I think it looks spectacular. I love the SLS's, gull wing doors. This just has standard doors, but I think this looks really good. It's almost like an SL slash, an S-Class kind of mashed up together. It looks really awesome, though. I love it. It has, a few retro cues, but while still being very, very much modern and very beautiful looking. I think that's just a home run. We've seen it in camouflage for so long. It's great to see it out in the flesh now, though. Uncamouflaged, it looks spectacular. Mercedes did an awesome job. Another car that launched this week was the 2016 Jaguar XE, and I really, really was hoping this car would be amazing because Jaguar has said that this car needs to be successful or else Jaguar might go under, which scares the crap out of me, obviously being a huge F-Type fan. So I want to really like this car, but the styling, it just came out this week. They did this big over-the-top debut for it in London, and it looks good, but it doesn't get me excited. I don't know. The front end, and it looks nice and aggressive, I guess you could say. The back end, though, the taillights remind me way too much of the older Audi S5 taillights, and I don't know, just it has good proportions. Maybe it look better in person, but to me right now it just looks kind of like a toned down XF. It's just smaller, and that's not. I was hoping for something a little more radical. I realize the 3 Series segment is a pretty safe, conservative looking segment, but I mean, come on, Audi did some pretty aggressive styling. I feel like Jaguar could have made it a little bit more interesting. But the real amazing thing about this car weighs around 3,200 pounds, which is pretty lightweight. That's a really, really impressive curb weight. And so with that low weight, it shouldn't take much to get this car moving, which means great gas mileage and, of course, great performance. And one of the options is you can get this car with the base F-Type's supercharged V6 engine, 340 horsepower, which is the S model for the XE. And that's going to be a really sweet car for sure. I think it has a lot of the F-Type interior as well. So the interior is good. It's nice and clean and simple looking. Maybe the styling will grow on me. Like I said, just not too crazy about the way it looks personally. Some other interesting news, though, is the 2015 Dodge Viper has been priced. We heard that last week that it got a 5 horsepower bump for 2015, but it also got dropped $15,000. Talk about being aggressive. So, they definitely are trying to drum up some sales here. Dropping it by 15 grand, hopefully will do the trick. That puts the base starting price of this car now at $85,000, which still isn't chump change, and it's still a whole lot more than a Corvette, and it's going to probably be, it's going to be even more than a Z06 unless you throw in options and things like that. But, it's still going to be a little bit of a tough sell, I think. I think it'll help, but I don't know. I don't see a very good future for the Viper. It's really sad. I hope people buy these things, but it doesn't seem to be the case. Another cool story that came out this week is Cadillac announced they're going to be launching Super Cruise, which is a semi-autonomous technology within 2 years. And they said it's going to be debuting probably on a new model. They said it's probably going to be on the LTS, which is going to be basically the El Mirage 4-door, since they decided they can't make a 2-door version because no one buys 2 doors apparently. So that's what Cadillac thinks, at least. So anyway, basically the flagship, huge Cadillac that they're planning on making, and it does look big from the spy shots. That's going to have this semi-autonomous technology. So it's similar to the Mercedes systems currently on the market, where it'll drive itself in traffic. But on top of just driving itself at low-speed traffic, I think it's up to like 33 miles per hour. This Cadillac system will also drive itself on the highway, and it'll slow down if someone cuts you off, and it'll keep your lane, and so you don't have to steer or anything. You just sit there, and that's it, which is really cool to see. And I enjoy highway driving. A lot of times I don't mind a car driving itself in traffic. That's totally fine with me, as long as you can still do your own driving. I think it'll be good. But that's very exciting to hear, and I like that they've called it Super Cruise. It's kind of retro at the same time. I really like that. So excited to see that system in future Cadillacs. Right, so there's 2 new stories from Aston Martin this week. The first is that Zagato, which is, a custom coach builder, they've revealed a custom Aston Martin Virage shooting brake. It looks a lot like the Lagonda that we saw, just recently. And, I'm not crazy about that front end still. But, it looks cool. A shooting brake Aston Martin would be amazing. And not sure, if I would go this aggressive on it, but it would be really beautiful to see Aston Martin make something like this. It'd be pretty awesome. Another awesome Aston Martin thing that came out this week is they've released a new Vanquish Carbon Edition, which basically has all the trim blacked out, everything is blacked out, and lots of carbon fiber, of course, and comes in black or white. And from the few images we've seen so far, it looks pretty awesome. And so yeah, no complaints there. That's more Aston Martins is never a bad thing. And another thing here, Lexus has been testing a GSF again. Now, we've been hearing off and on for years they're going to be making a GSF. And this, it looks like it's finally coming in 2016. It's going to have the RCF's V8. It's going to be bumped up to 500 horsepower, which is still not super competitive considering the M5 and, you know, the S6 and all those kind of cars are putting out way more power than that. But, you know, it'll be good, I'm sure. It'll still be a fun car. And the last bit of news this week is that there's been a report that Bugatti's new Veyron successor is going to be called the Chiron. And that it's, you know, like I mentioned a couple weeks ago, it's going to have the same engine, just more horsepower, things like that. But, yeah, so we now know that it's probably going to be called the Chiron. So yeah, that's it for all the news this week, guys. So send it back to me in the car. Alright, so like I was talking about merging earlier, there's some traffic. I can get up to speed quick, leave you with a nice little acceleration here, like I always do. And it just goes. I mean, it's probably, I don't know, I'd say it's maybe a tiny bit faster than the BRZ, but it's just having that torque. You don't have to wait for the power. So yeah, anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next week. Take care.